Welcome to Great Souls Remembered. I'm Mark. On this channel, we pay tribute to unforgettable lives that brought meaning, inspiration, and brilliance to the world. From beloved stars to cultural icons, their legacy still lives on. Join us as we remember their stories, honor their impact, and celebrate the memories they left behind. Blues and soul singer Clarence Carter died May 13, 2026, in Atlanta of complications from pneumonia. He was 90. Carter, who was born blind, was known for hits like Strokin' and the Grammy Award-winning Patches. He was inducted into the Alabama Music Hall of Fame in 2003. He's being remembered for his soulful voice and risque lyrics, as well as for writing the original version of the Etta James hit, Tell Mama. Actress Mary Rivera died April 15, 2026, music, in Honolulu, at the age of 82. Her death was announced this week. She stole the show in just a brief scene in Spider-Man No Way Home, playing Ned's Lola, or grandmother, who wanted Spider-Man to clean up the webs he shot in her living room. Rivera is being remembered for delivering a charming performance even though she was a non-professional actor, music, and Spider-Man was her first movie role. Music producer David Z died August 2nd, music, 2026, at a hospital in Burbank, California. He died of complications from an infection at the age of 78. Born David Rivkin, he was an architect of the Minneapolis sound, especially through his work with Prince. He engineered Purple Rain and other early albums, and he music produced and played guitar on the classic track, Kiss. David Z is also being remembered as a member of Lips Incorporated, known for their disco hit Funky Town, and for producing the fine young Cannibals song, She Drives Me Crazy. Angela Daphne Ann Pleasance, 17 September 1941, was an English actress whose career moved quietly between stage, television, and film, often marked by understated but memorable performances. Trained in theater, she developed a strong foundation in classical acting before transitioning into screen work, where her expressive subtlety suited both drama and genre pieces. Her first major film appearance came in Hitler, The Last 10 Days, 1973, which opened the door to a series of roles in British horror cinema, including From Beyond the Grave and Symptoms, 1974. On television, she became familiar to audiences through appearances in popular series such as Coronation Street and Doctor Who, as well as various British miniseries during the 1980s and 1990s. Later in her career, she took smaller supporting parts in films like The Search for John Gissing, 2001, Gangs of New York, 2002, and The Gigolos, 2005, maintaining a steady presence in character acting. She died at the age of 84. Her cause of death has not been publicly disclosed. Her career reflects steady craft over fame, with respected restrained performances across decades of work. Overall legacy. There was something unforgettable about the way Isaiah Whitlock Jr. delivered a line, calm, deliberate, and always with a quiet authority that made you lean in. Born on October 13, 1954, he built a career that didn't rely on noise, but on presence. And that presence stayed with audiences long after the scene ended. Many came to know and love him as Senator Clay Davis on The Wire, a role that became iconic not just for its sharp writing, but for Whitlock's unmistakable delivery. He had a way of turning even a single word into something memorable, something quoted, something that lived on in pop culture. But his work went far beyond one role. Over a career spanning more than 3 decades, Whitlock brought depth and authenticity to every project he touched, from political satire in Veep to intense courtroom drama in Your Honor. He also shared a long creative partnership with Spike Lee, appearing in several of Lee's films, where his performances added richness and soul to powerful stories. Off-screen, those who knew him often spoke of his humility, his warmth, and his unwavering dedication to his craft. He was the kind of actor who didn't just play characters, he understood them, lived them, and gave them truth. Isaiah Whitlock Jr. passed at the age of 71, leaving behind a body of work that continues to inspire. His journey reminds us that greatness isn't always loud, it's steady, consistent, and deeply felt. And in every role he played, he left a mark that won't soon be forgotten. Julia Roberts became one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars not simply because she was beautiful, but because she possessed something audiences could feel before they could explain it. Her smile seemed effortless, her performances intimate, and her presence powerful enough to turn ordinary romantic stories into cultural moments. After Pretty Woman, the world did not merely know Julia Roberts, it created an image of her. She became America's sweetheart, a woman audiences expected to remain warm, graceful, glamorous, and almost impossibly untouched by ordinary pain. Yet the woman behind that image had spent years learning how unstable life could be. Born on October 28, 1967, in Smyrna, Georgia, Julia grew up in a family shaped by acting, financial uncertainty, separation, and loss. Her parents, Walter Grady Roberts and Betty Lou Bredemus, were performers who opened an acting school that welcomed both black and white children during an era of segregation. Their principles earned admiration, including from Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. But inside the home, idealism could not eliminate hardship. Her parents separated when Julia was young, her father moved away, and later her mother remarried. The family changed repeatedly, while Julia learned to read tension before it became conflict. Then, at 10, she lost her father to cancer. That childhood did not create a Hollywood star overnight. It created something more important: resilience. A childhood of loss. Julia's childhood carried contradictions that would later become central to the emotional force of her performances. Her family had courage and creativity, but stability remained fragile. Her father, Walter, had been one of the people who made Julia feel safe, and his departure after the divorce left an absence she could not fully understand as a child. When her parents' marriage ended, the household shifted again. Her mother remarried Michael Motes, and Julia, alongside her siblings Eric and Lisa, adapted to a home where uncertainty could become part of everyday life. She struggled with a stutter, making ordinary conversations feel more intimidating than they appeared from the outside. School did not always offer refuge. Her appearance, especially the smile that would later become one of the most famous in cinema, could also make her a target for teasing. Acting gradually became more than an extracurricular interest. It became a place where she could speak without being trapped by the limitations she felt in ordinary life. Then came the loss that would remain with her forever. Walter Roberts died of throat cancer when Julia was only 10. He had reportedly kept the seriousness of his illness away from his children for as long as possible, protecting them from fear. Before his death, he recorded bedtime stories for Julia. Those recordings gave her something precious after he was gone: the ability to hear his voice again, in a childhood already marked by change. His death taught her that love could remain powerful, even when the person was no longer there. The cold years. At 17, Julia Roberts left Georgia for New York, with ambition but very little security. The city did not welcome her with the glamorous promise Hollywood stories often suggest. She had limited money, faced rejection, endured difficult living conditions, and learned quickly that wanting an acting career was not the same as being given one. Auditions became a repeated test of patience. Doors closed, opportunities disappeared. The dream survived largely because she kept returning to it. She took small jobs and minor acting opportunities while waiting for something substantial to arrive. Her early screen appearances were modest, but each one placed her slightly closer to the career she imagined. She appeared on television and worked in commercials, gradually building experience and credibility. The journey was not glamorous, it was practical. She had to learn how to survive while remaining prepared for the possibility that the next opportunity might finally change everything. That discipline mattered when Mystic Pizza arrived in 1988. The film was not yet the cultural phenomenon her later work would become, but it introduced audiences to an actress whose presence was difficult to ignore. Then came Steel Magnolias. As Shelby, Julia brought vulnerability, determination, and emotional force to a character facing devastating circumstances. The performance earned her a Golden Globe and her first Academy Award nomination. Suddenly, the actress who had once struggled simply to get through auditions was being discussed as one of Hollywood's rising talents. Yet the foundation had been built long before the awards. Every rejection, every difficult night, every uncertain morning had trained her to continue when success was still invisible. Fame takes its price. The years following Pretty Woman brought Julia Roberts an extraordinary run of success, but fame did not make personal life simpler. Relationships unfolded beneath constant media attention, and private decisions could become public speculation before they were emotionally settled. Her engagement to actor Dylan McDermott became part of the Hollywood conversation, illustrating how quickly romance could become entertainment once two famous people were involved. For Julia, the idea of love represented something more meaningful than publicity. She had grown up understanding how easily stability could disappear, so emotional security mattered deeply, yet celebrity could make ordinary intimacy almost impossible. Flashbulbs appeared where privacy once existed. Headlines could define a relationship before the people inside it had finished understanding what it meant. Julia continued working, choosing roles that showed audiences she was not simply the smiling romantic heroine from Pretty Woman. Sleeping with the Enemy pushed her into darker territory. Dying Young demanded emotional vulnerability. Hook placed her inside a fantasy world, while expectations surrounding her real-life celebrity remained impossible to escape. Then came My Best Friend's Wedding, Notting Hill, and Runaway Bride. These films strengthened her reputation, but they also demonstrated the range hidden beneath the familiar image. She could play charming, complicated, funny, wounded, stubborn, and emotionally conflicted women without losing the connection audiences felt with her. The success was enormous, but the cost was personal. Every triumph increased the size of the spotlight, and every increase in attention made the private person behind the celebrity increasingly valuable to protect. Becoming Erin, in 2000, Julia Roberts stepped into one of the most important performances of her career as Erin Brockovich. The character was almost the opposite of the polished Hollywood image attached to Julia. Erin was outspoken, imperfect, determined, and unwilling to make herself smaller simply to make other people comfortable. Julia embraced those qualities completely. She did not attempt to make Erin conventionally elegant. Instead, she made her human. The performance connected with audiences and critics, and Erin Brockovich became a major commercial success. More importantly, Julia finally received the Academy Award for Best Actress. Her Oscar moment carried the weight of everything that had come before it. The actress, who had arrived in New York with limited money, had become one of the highest-paid women in Hollywood. She became the first woman to command a reported $20 million salary for a film, an extraordinary milestone that demonstrated how dramatically the industry's perception of her had changed. Yet perhaps the most powerful part of her victory was not the money. It was what the moment represented. A girl from Smyrna, Georgia, who had once struggled to find her voice, had become a woman whose voice could move an entire industry. By that point, Julia Roberts had demonstrated that her success was not built on one lucky role. It was the result of years of consistency. She understood how to command attention without appearing desperate for it, how to bring vulnerability into powerful characters, and how to remain emotionally accessible even while becoming one of the most recognizable women on earth. Love under pressure. Julia Roberts' private life remained one of the most intensely watched parts of her celebrity. Early relationships attracted attention because audiences wanted to understand the woman behind the screen romances. Her connection with Liam Neeson, for example, belonged to an earlier chapter of her life, before Pretty Woman transformed her into a global star. Their relationship was relatively brief, but experiences like that could still leave lasting emotional impressions. Then came the intense public attention surrounding her relationship with Dylan McDermott. Their engagement represented, at least from the outside, the possibility that Julia might find stability while her career was exploding. Instead, the relationship eventually ended. Celebrity relationships rarely receive the privacy ordinary couples are allowed. Every disagreement can become a rumor. Every photograph can become evidence. Every change in behavior can generate speculation. Julia learned that fame did not simply make a person visible. It could make emotional life feel as though it belonged partly to strangers. Yet she continued to resist being defined entirely by romance. Her professional choices increasingly reflected a desire to explore women who possessed agency, contradictions, humor, fear, and strength. She could be a romantic heroine, but she did not need romance to explain who she was. That distinction became essential. Julia Roberts had become famous because audiences connected with her warmth, but she remained successful because she refused to remain frozen inside the version of herself that audiences first loved. Her life was changing, her priorities were changing, and the woman beneath the public image was slowly becoming more protective of her own boundaries. Beyond Hollywood, as Julia Roberts moved deeper into adulthood, her relationship with fame changed. The The woman who had once been everywhere gradually became more selective about where she appeared and how much of her personal life she offered. Marriage and family became increasingly important, creating a world that existed beyond movie premieres and award ceremonies. Instead of constantly chasing visibility, Julia demonstrated that a successful career could coexist with a more private existence. Her filmography also evolved. She continued appearing in major productions while becoming less dependent on the relentless pace that had characterized earlier decades. That evolution mattered because Hollywood often treats aging actresses differently from aging male stars. Women are frequently expected to maintain a narrow version of youth, beauty, and romantic appeal, while men are allowed to become more varied with age. Julia's career challenged that expectation simply by continuing. She did not need to recreate Vivian Ward forever. She could become a mother, a wife, a dramatic actress, a producer, a public figure, and eventually a veteran performer whose value extended beyond box office numbers. Her enduring appeal came partly from the fact that audiences had grown with her. People who first saw her in Pretty Woman could later encounter her as an adult woman navigating different responsibilities and priorities. The transition was not always loud. In fact, much of it happened quietly, but that quietness became part of her strength. She no longer needed to prove that she belonged. She had already changed the definition of what a Hollywood leading woman could earn, command, and become. The cost of an image. The mythology surrounding Julia Roberts has always been unusually powerful because her public image feels almost universally recognizable. The smile, the hair, the laugh, the romantic roles, the elegance, and the apparent warmth created a version of her that seemed larger than the individual person. But every idealized image carries a hidden burden. When the public decides someone represents happiness, that person can feel pressure to appear happy even when life becomes complicated. Julia's career demonstrates the tension between authenticity and expectation. She could not completely control how audiences interpreted her, but she could control what she chose to reveal. That distinction became increasingly important as she grew older. Hollywood success does not remove ordinary emotions. It does not prevent grief, disappointment, fear, exhaustion, or uncertainty. It simply makes those experiences harder to experience privately. Julia's journey, therefore, cannot be reduced to box office figures or awards. The deeper story is about maintaining identity while millions of people believe they already know you. Her famous smile was genuine, but it was never the whole story. Behind it was a woman who experienced childhood loss, financial uncertainty, rejection, complicated relationships, and the exhausting demands of celebrity. She learned early how to adjust to changing environments, and that ability later helped her survive Hollywood's constant demands. Yet adaptation has a price. Sometimes the person who becomes skilled at adjusting must eventually ask where the adjustment ends and the authentic self begins. A legacy of resilience. Julia Roberts' career is ultimately a story of persistence disguised as glamour. Audiences saw the red dress, the laughter, the romantic endings, the awards, the premieres, and the unforgettable characters. They did not see every uncertain morning that came before those moments. They did not experience the childhood grief that shaped her sensitivity, the struggle to find her voice, the rejection that accompanied her early auditions, or the pressure of becoming a cultural symbol almost overnight. But those experiences remained part of the person carrying every performance. Her success was not created by Pretty Woman alone. That film amplified qualities already forged through hardship, discipline, emotional awareness, adaptability, and the willingness to continue when circumstances offered no guarantee of success. From Steel Magnolias to Erin Brockovich, she repeatedly proved that audiences were responding to more than beauty. They were responding to emotional truth. That is why her legacy has lasted beyond individual films. Julia Roberts helped define an era of American cinema, but she also became an example of how a performer can evolve without abandoning the qualities that made audiences care in the first place. She became enormously famous without allowing fame to erase every boundary around her private world. She learned that success could provide freedom while simultaneously demanding sacrifice. And perhaps that is the most revealing part of her story. The woman who became famous for making audiences believe in happy endings spent her real life learning that happiness is rarely permanent, perfection is impossible, and resilience often means simply continuing forward. the smile remains today. The image of Julia Roberts remains instantly recognizable, but its meaning has changed. Once, her smile represented the arrival of a young actress who seemed to embody the optimism of Hollywood itself. Later, it became something more complicated, a reminder of how much a person can carry while appearing completely composed. Nearly 6 decades after her birth, her career stands as one of the clearest examples of enduring stardom in modern American cinema. She moved from small opportunities to international fame, from romantic comedies to serious dramas, from promising newcomer to Academy Award winner, and from Hollywood's brightest young star to an established actress who could choose her own pace. The world may continue to remember Vivian Ward, Anna Scott, Julianne Potter, Shelby, and Erin Brockovich, but Julia Roberts was never any single character. She was the person who stepped out of those characters when the cameras stopped rolling and continued building a life beyond them. Her greatest achievement may therefore be less about remaining famous than remaining herself, while fame constantly tried to define her. The expectations placed upon her were enormous: remain beautiful, remain charming, remain youthful, remain accessible, remain the woman audiences first fell in love with. Instead, she changed. She grew older. She explored different roles. She protected parts of her life. She allowed the public image to evolve, rather than dictate everything. And behind it all remained the same lesson, learned long before Hollywood knew her name. When life changes without warning, you adapt, you endure, and you keep moving forward.